So now I got to ask you, because you sit in one of the most interesting seats, right? Because the industry you play in, the Vonage plays in, is an industry that everyone's affected by. Everyone has had a service requirement. That's just a fact. Like there's no one's gone through life not needing help from a company or someone else, right? We've all needed it. We've all had good service and we've all had bad service. We understand everyone that you talk to who's listening to this podcast understands that. What do you see this industry, what do you see this technology transforming into? Tell us what you think customer service looks like in like 5 years.
Oh, it's fascinating, right? And by the way, for your listeners that may not know this, we just got acquired by Ericsson. So Ericsson is now our parent company, where we are part of obviously one of the largest global communication infrastructure providers. And that gives us potentially the platform to realize the vision that I talked about earlier, which is very, very exciting. So it gives us a way to get that reach. So the vision that we have is that of a global immersive engagement platform. And notice I didn't use the word communication in that, because communications is a means to an end. Why do you want to talk? Why do you want to send a message? Why do you want to have a video call? It's to create that engagement for the context you're in, whether you are buying something, you're getting service for something, or you just want to collaborate, or you just want to say hello, whatever the context is. But ultimately, it's about that engagement, that feeling of connection that you have with one to many, many to many kind of engagements. So our vision is to create this engagement platform, but an immersive engagement platform. Even when we are sitting here, we are still working in this two-dimensional model where you go in, you fire up your app, which is a video app, and then you talk to each other, which is, by the way, way better than it was before, when you were sitting around in a conference room and staring at the Polycom in the middle of the room, thinking that that's actually a person. All you're doing is just talking over audio. So way better today, for sure. But I think in the future, it's really going to be a lot more immersive, and that's where the concept of metaverse comes in. And a lot of people I know still roll their eyes around, what is this metaverse thing? I mean, come on, is this something even real? It's happening today. It's happening today. Imagine being in a place where you're buying something, but you're actually there, where you're trying on the clothes within an environment where you feel like you know how the pair of jeans look on you before you ever bought it. And then you place the option of buying it and then shows up at your doorstep. Or same thing with healthcare, where the doctor, when they're talking to you, you feel like you're there. In fact, not only just there, but they are touching and feeling, let's say, your bone. If there's something wrong with your knee, they're touching and feeling it. And through haptics, they can identify what might be wrong. And then that way they can diagnose the problem better. Right? So there's a lot of different immersive examples. Or if you're joining a new company and you're getting onboarded and you're sitting in your own little room, but you feel like you're there and you're having these water cooler conversations, it changes the paradigm of engagement and communications. And I think that's where we are all going eventually. It's going to be these 360-degree engagements, and they're all going to be immersive. We're working on some of those areas right now. We're working on some SDKs, which we'll talk about later, which could be something that could help in moving the ball forward in these areas.
No, that sounds pretty cool. I'm going to use my example and you tell me if this is possible today, because I think it is. All right. So I recently acquired a home and it had equipment that needed to be turned out. Right. So I needed like a hot water heater replacement. So I go online, look at the price. Or search it up, then it says, is it what, electric or gas? Great question. I was like, I don't know. Now I got to go find out. I had to search through my documents. And then it started asking me all these questions, like, do I want it installed and delivered? I was like, man, why would it assume that I know how to install these things? This is a giant piece of equipment. I thought to yourself, as you started talking, it's like, the dream scenario would be, I take a picture of the water heater. Mm-hmm. I say to Lowe's or Home Depot, I want to replace this. It can recognize the gallon size. It can recognize water or electric, instantly pulls the inventory available to me, offers me calendar of suggested install dates and disposal dates. And I can just be like, we can bring it, replace it, fulfill it right this day. Here's the price tag. And I would love to just have that option instead of going through all these question trees. I had to go through several question trees. And then I want to explain to our audience how complicated it is in what you're talking about, which will simplify this. It said a delivery fee, but it didn't say installation. So I had to chat. I had to chat with somebody and be like, does this include installation? The person came back and literally said to me, and I don't know if they were reading from a script or not, they came back and said, it will be brought to your house. I was like, wait a second. That's not what I'm asking.
Right.
Because if you drop this off in front of my house, it's going to stay there.
Yeah,
I need it to be
exactly.
brought into the house and installed. And I feel like the technology is already there. I feel like, companies have to choose to invest in this, but I feel like the technology is probably already there to like take a picture, recognize it, and also recognize the calendar of times of when's most like available for service. I feel like that should be there. It might be talking across systems, but you tell me, should that be possible today?
That is definitely possible today. Technically, that's possible today. A lot of times, the scenario you just described happens as a custom engagement or a custom project with companies. So you have some of the larger like system integrators who would come in and say, hey, we can do this for you. It's going to cost you 10 million bucks, but we can do this for you. And they go cobble it all together into various different systems. And to your point, there'll be about 5 or 6 different system of records they'll have to pull the data from.
Sure.
And then enable the agents and train them, and then have more chatbots, which are not just dumb chatbots, but actual intelligent chatbots, which can have this kind of conversation with you, right? So it's definitely possible, but it's not happening enough at scale. And that is one of the immediate challenges that I think we have in front of us, and something that we're tackling with our own customers, where we're telling them, hey, you can turn your existing notifications that you do into conversations and into engagement eventually. And this, what you just mentioned, is a great example of that engagement. Because imagine if you were able to do that, you become a fan for life for Lowe's or Home Depot.
I would have bought the water heater already. I'm still shopping.
Exactly.
I still haven't.
There you go. You're a biggest promoter, and you probably tell 10 of your friends about this, and they'll tell 10 of their friends, and it's just a win-win. It's possible, but it's not happening enough at scale, and that's one of my big things is how do we do that at scale in the short future?
Yeah. Well, listen, I can't wait for this technology to be more widely adopted. I think some of the things you painted in the picture, you paint the picture for the future, are as exciting. It's also exciting to hear that a lot of this stuff is here today if companies choose to invest in it. Because when you were describing what you were describing, then I was thinking about my most recent like frustrating purchase decision. I was like, man, this could have been a lot easier. I feel like it's got to, I take a picture, it goes up into the inventory record, instantly identifies this as then it has to go to the stock record. Here are the viable switches.
Right.
Then it has to go to the maintenance record. Here are the available delivery dates in my area. I feel like that should be possible.
Totally. And imagine starting even before that, by the way. Why do you even have to go to the Lowe's app for this? Where do typically people start whenever they were looking for anything? They go to Google.
Yeah, they go to Google. Yeah.
Right. So what if you just go there directly and say, hey, I want to replace my water heater and I want to talk to somebody about it. So within that search, do this test, by the way, when you get a chance. Google up Lowe's or Google up any of the names, the name brand, big name retail stores. Typically, you'll find the search for them show up with directions, with their website, and their phone number. But you wouldn't see anything which has a chat option. You wouldn't see it. But if you did, then if you click on that chat, and as soon as you engage in that chat, you can say, here's my issue with the heater. I want to replace it. And then the back end, you don't care where that's coming from, who's answering you. All you know is you got your water heater replaced by having this conversation. And that's what I mean by having this conversation with the brand versus doing this over an app or going into the website. So you're spot on. I mean, that's exactly where this needs to go.
Hey, thanks for watching. This segment is brought to us by Salesforce Platform. Visit salesforce.com/newsletter to discover timely insights and useful tips tailored to your role. Subscribe to this channel and get more great IT and tech interviews with top industry leaders.